great.
With Justin Trudeau's leader or someone else?
Well, I believe Justin Trudeau will be leading the next election. Thank you.
He'll stay or?
Oh, he will stay. He should stay. He will stay. It went on well. Everybody expressed their opinion patiently. Everybody listened, and there's no
think
change.
it's now over?
Was there a voting there?
No.
Some people were asking for a vote. Did somebody ask for a vote?
You think it's over now?
It's done.
How would you characterize the mood?
It's done.
Diversité de points de vue, influencée évidemment par la diversité du caucus du Parti libéral. Le Parti libéral est un caucus qui rassemble beaucoup de gens à travers le pays. Et on en ressent encore plus unis, encore plus fort, toujours tourné évidemment sur comment on peut continuer à travailler pour les Québécois et pour les Canadiens.
Qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec les 24 qui ont émis leur dissidence aujourd'hui? On les garde ou ils doivent quitter? Qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec eux?
Bien, écoutez, on a eu, moi je ne connais pas les 24, mais ce que je sais, c'est qu'au caucus ce matin, un long caucus important, tous les députés ont été invités à présenter leur point de vue. Le premier ministre leur a demandé de le faire. Évidemment, on est 160, c'est que ce n'est pas tout le monde qui a pu se prononcer, mais tous ceux qui pensaient pouvoir apporter un point de vue pertinent ont pu le faire ce matin.
Quelle était l'ambiance? Est-ce que c'était tendu? Ça ne devait pas être bon enfant, là?
C'est une très bonne entente, une très bonne ambiance. Honnêtement, je vous le dis. Parce que le caucus du Parti libéral est depuis tout le temps, et ça va continuer comme ça, être un caucus respectueux de la diversité des points de vue d'un pays qui est grand, qui est très divers, et ça demande un caucus comme celui du Parti libéral, où les gens ont le droit et le choix de pouvoir présenter leur point de vue.
Est-ce qu'il y aura une suite? Est-ce que le premier ministre a promis de retourner avec d'autres réponses la semaine prochaine? Oui, il va y avoir des suivis sur certaines des questions qui ont été formulées plus clairement. Une des questions les plus importantes, c'est le contraste. Je pense qu'on convient qu'on a pris trop pour acquis que les gens suivaient la politique de près, qu'ils étaient facilement capables de faire le contraste entre l'option libérale et l'option conservatrice. Évidemment, les conservateurs sont beaucoup plus présents que nous sur les médias sociaux, font parfois même de la désinformation. On prend un peu trop pour acquis que les gens suivent ça en étant bien informés. Donc, pour le bien des Canadiens et des Québécois, on a un meilleur travail de contraste à faire.
Dernière question
tout le monde.
d'un vote secret qui avait été soulevé, est-ce qu'elle est pertinente? Est-ce qu'il y aurait peut-être lieu de faire une espèce de consultation sous le couvert d'anonymat?
Bien, nous, au caucus du Québec, on ne fait pas les choses de manière secrète. Tous les députés s'expriment clairement et ouvertement. Il n'y a pas rien à cacher. Donc, quand quelqu'un a quelque chose à dire, il le dit ouvertement. Le premier ministre et tous les ministres et tous les autres députés sont là aussi pour l'entendre directement.
Merci.
On est tous unis parce qu'on a tous convenu de s'exprimer très clairement ce matin et de travailler pour faire les bonnes choses pour les Canadiens, évidemment d'ici les prochaines élections, durant les prochaines élections et après les prochaines élections.
Donc les 20 sont rentrés dans les rangs, c'est ce que vous dites?
Bien, nous, on a un caucus uni parce que c'est un caucus ouvert. Les gens, non seulement ont le droit, mais ça fait l'obligation de se prononcer.
Est-ce qu'ils sont rentrés dans les rangs ou est-ce qu'ils vont devoir?
Je pense que vous avez la chance de parler à tous les députés. Ils sont tous prêts à jaser avec vous. Mais moi, ce que je peux vous dire, j'étais là au caucus ce matin, ça a été une très, très bonne rencontre. Entre autres parce que tout le monde a été invité à dire clairement et franchement comment ils pensent, comment ils et elles pensent qu'on doit travailler pour les Québécois les prochaines semaines, puis être prêt pour les prochaines élections.
Comment on résout ça? Il y a M. Trudeau qui veut rester.
Well, I think, we all have to endeavor to do better, to be listening to the voices of caucus. There is a tendency on the part of all of us in cabinet at times with the responsibilities we have, perhaps to get a little bit more distant from caucus. And I think today was a good conversation that made us all a bit more aware that we need to be having more of these conversations more frequently.
So now what changes?
Well, nous avons eu une bonne conversation. Il y a les choses dans lesquelles on doit, comment se dit, réfléchir.
Mais ça donne quoi? Ça change quoi si M. Trudeau reste et les autres veulent toujours quitter?
La conversation, c'était seulement 1 heure avant. Et nous devons avoir les réflexions et les conversations, bien sûr, avec le caucus. Mais je crois que c'était une bonne conversation qui était très constructive.
Minister, how do you move forward when 20 MPs want to go?
Une histoire de famille. Je suis tellement fier de mon caucus national. C'est un endroit où
il n'y avait
on
pas
peut
de dissidence
s'exprimer.
du tout au caucus ce matin.
On parle pas de ce qu'on décide, qu'est-ce qu'on parle à l'intérieur du caucus national. Ce que je peux vous dire, c'est que des caucus comme celui de ce matin au caucus du Québec,
puis on a apporté nos idées. On a parlé de toutes sortes de choses. La baisse encore des taux d'intérêt, une bonne nouvelle. On parle de bonnes choses aussi.
Vous n'avez pas parlé du leadership de M. Trudeau, ça semblait être au cœur des préoccupations ce matin.
C'est ce que les journalistes nous disent, mais je peux vous dire que nous...
Il y a 24 députés qui ont quand même amené une lettre, c'est pas juste les journalistes. Vous leur avez dit quoi, ces 24 députés?
On n'a pas à parler à 24 députés du caucus. C'est un endroit où on peut tous s'exprimer, comme on fait à toutes les semaines. À toutes les semaines, on est là pour être une famille, puis de laver notre linge sale en famille. C'est un caucus très constructif. Savez-vous quoi? J'ai passé une belle journée aujourd'hui. On s'est dit des belles choses. Je peux vous dire, c'est rassurant.
Est-ce qu'il reste une amertume
sur ce
qui s'est passé?
Pas du tout. Pas du tout. Il n'y a pas d'amertume. On est là. On traverse la porte en équipe quand on rentre dans le caucus. Puis quand on sort de cette porte-là, on la sort en équipe. C'est la preuve qu'on est un caucus fort et uni.
Monsieur Trudeau a parlé au
débat. Vraiment y aller.
Est-ce que la page est
not a conservative, because in 1995 when I lived in community housing with my mom and younger brother, Mike Harris cuts put our home and my mother's job in jeopardy. I won't stand by and watch as a conservative leader echoing the exact same types of rhetoric that Mike Harris did in 1994, 1995, with this common sense revolution crap that leaves Canadian institutions poor, that leaves Canadians out of the economy, that makes Canadians poor because our institutions are poor, and that's what I'm going to continue to fight against.
Great, thank you.
We had a really robust conversation. I'm very happy, I'm very united. Look, today's a good day for many reasons. As a Liberal MP, it's always good to gather with my colleagues, and we need to have that. Absolutely. Secondly, as an economist, I have to say this: the bank cut 50 basis points. His Macklin statement was basically, inflation is now back within where it should be, and we're good that hopefully be future rate cuts. IMF growth forecast for Canada, the best in G7 25. And look, in that information, Canadians have been through a lot. My residents have been through a lot the last couple of years, with inflation, with the war in Ukraine, with COVID and the pandemic, and things are going the right way. I've always said this in the House.
So is he going to stay?
I hope he stays. I fully support him. I fully support the Prime Minister.
And should the other ones who call for his resignation, should they be kicked out of caucus?
No, look, we need to have a robust discussion. And we're not always going to agree on everything. I've been here for 9 years now, and not every policy that we brought forward, I'll be like, oh my God, okay, let's look at that. Where are we going with this? But we're a team. And we're a Big Tent team. We have a lot of diverse voices, and we need to listen to all those diverse voices. Most importantly, we need to make sure we're telling Canadians, listening to them, and also reiterating to them what we're doing, where we're moving forward, where we're moving the economy, what we're doing with dental care, child care, a number of these programs which we know are helping our constituents and which we receive feedback.
How can he win? He's 20 points behind, has been for over a year. Our polls show that people are fed up with Trudeau. How do you think he can win?
I fully support the Prime Minister. I fully support Prime Minister Trudeau.
Are you feeling any different now that the caucus meeting is over? Are you feeling more optimistic? Have your feelings changed?
No, I've always been feeling optimistic. I love Canada. I know the Prime Minister has a conviction and passion to lead us into the next election and
but
to
you
win.
were going into a super critical meeting. Have your feelings changed? Are you feeling that the party's more united?
No, it was great to see my colleagues this morning. It was great to hear a number of opinions expressed, and obviously what happens in caucus stays in caucus, much like when you go to Las Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and that's the way I look at things. I think we need to have a debate on where we move forward, how we win the next election, and ensure someone who's never done any job other than be in Parliament is not elected Prime Minister.
Did you speak at the mic?
Absolutely.
What did you say? What was your message?
I won't say what I said because it's National Caucus. And what happens in caucus and what stayed in caucus remains in caucus. My point is this: the Bank of Canada cut rates by 50 points. I fully support the Prime Minister.
But you're expressing your point of view. You're not sharing what other people say.
No, I would never do that. I respect my colleagues.
Okay, and so I know, like everybody, this is exactly what's going to happen. Well, no, I think we need a working through process to really kind of process what we have heard today and see what the future pathway looks like.
So does the Prime Minister have to think it through, come back to
Everybody.
office?
Everybody does. Every last one of us.
Of the 50 people that spoke, what was the majority say that he should stay, or the majority say he should stay?
I don't think it's that kind of horse race. I think that people manage as the session went on. We heard what others said, and if somebody had something to add to whatever aspect it was, they got up and spoke to it. So no, it wasn't like a ballot poll or something like that.
But do people say he should go?
Well, as I say, they came at it from every angle, so you can take from that as you wish.
And you said people have to think about whether they should, I'm assuming, think about whether the Prime Minister whether they should run again, or think about whether they should continue to support Trudeau as leader, or should the Prime Minister, after digesting what was said today, think about his future?
That, and a whole bunch more. You know, as I say, we heard a lot today because, let's face it, you know, you put, 150 odd politicians in a room, they're going to have all kinds of aspects of this to think about and talk about. And we heard a lot today. But I think, I guess the foundational piece for me is I'm really proud of the way we handle these things. You know, I'd mentioned to some of your colleagues, Ron, that, the Gaza situation is really hard on this. You know, we have Jewish members, we have Muslim members, but we found a way to have those really, really tough discussions and come out kind of ahead, with a solid foundation under our feet. This is exactly what happened today.
All right, thank you very much.
A great conversation that we had in caucus and lots to reflect on.
What do you think the Prime Minister's thinking right now and what happens?
I don't know. I can't speak for him, but it was an important conversation that we have actually at every caucus meeting. And I have a lot to reflect on after speaking today and listening to my colleagues. So I'm going to be thinking about that over the lunch hour.
So you spoke at the microphone?
I generally try to at caucus meetings because that's what caucus meetings are about. So you want to share your thoughts and feelings, but also listen to others.
And can you just share broadly, and I think that's specifics about what you appreciate?
There's a lot of us who, have brought forward great ideas in moving our country forward. And I'm just glad to be a part of this caucus, which represents Canadians. He's going to put forward a plan to take on Mr. Poilievre and the Conservatives. So, well, no, I'm talking about the ideas that caucus colleagues always bring forward. That is bringing forward how we move forward on defeating the Conservatives in the upcoming election. I think that's important.
So do you think this conversation is over now, or are you expecting there'll be another conversation about this next week where you'll hear from the Prime Minister?
I don't know. That's a question you'll have to ask others on, but I think for myself it was an important opportunity to reflect on important issues facing our country and how we can work together to make sure we defeat the Conservatives. So thank you. Thank you so much.
How do you move forward
Thank you
with
so
so many
much.
people
It's
wanting to
lunch. I'll have a good day.
Lunch. What's your thoughts now?
I'm still reflecting. It was a great conversation this morning and lots to think about. And
are you going to remain in caucus?
I'm nominated to run as a Liberal MP in Calgary-McKnight. I'm excited to do so and excited to take on the Conservatives. Thank you. I got to run to QP.
Your Poilievre government, so we're certainly all united on that.
I guess I'm trying to understand what did all that change?
What's that?
We've had like a build-up for a week. We've got 24 people saying they don't believe the Prime Minister is the person to lead them in the next election. We arrived today. What changed from the Prime Minister?
Well, you'd have to ask him.
Well, you were there. You were in the room, right? I mean, was that all for naught?
He heard a lot of voices and he heard a lot of honest opinions, and I think that was important. And he acknowledged that, and that's part of the democratic process.
But enough to change his mind?
Well, I can't. I have no vision into his mind as to what's.
You said time will tell.
What's that?
You said time will tell.
As to
when you were asked if the party is less or more united now than before, what do you mean by time will tell?
Probably was an ill-considered thing to say, but I do think. To a large extent, we remain united. We remain united as one party. We all believe we're one team. We all believe in the same principles. We're all on the Liberal team for a reason, and we continue to believe that we are the party of the future, and we're all united, and we don't want to see a Pierre Poilievre government. Yeah, there's going to be nuances about every kind of question, and people with different opinions. But that's natural.
Show you're dead in the water with Trudeau as leader. Over a year, 20 points up. I mean, that's why there's 24 MPs are saying, time for you to leave. Are you one of the 24?
I don't want to comment on who the 24 are, and I think it's better not to comment on that. I mean, something better left within the party.
But what about the fact
that we're well,
you're dead in the water by the looks of it.
Well, every there's a bottom to every hole. Maybe we're at the bottom and we're coming at the top. That's the way I'd like to see it. I mean, hopefully, we're not going down any further. So,
will you be asked to enter in the ranks or to leave? Like, will there be a choice at some point in the future to either get in or get out? You know what I mean?
Oh, I think we all have that choice. I mean, it's ultimately if you're in an organization and you're unhappy with the organization or the boss. I mean, we all have the option at the end of the day of deciding, well, I don't want to be in this organization. We all have that option. I think, and we'll see. A lot of us are going to continue to run, and I'm going to run.
Are you still expecting to hear from the Prime Minister again next week? Is there a return on this letter, if you know what I'm trying to ask?
Well, he's going to talk to us every week, sure. I mean, that's his job, and he will.
Is there a second part of this conversation that was had today with MPs going on?
Oh, I would think there's a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth. I mean, it's an ongoing conversation, right? The leadership. And, I mean, it's like, I don't think there ought to be any expectation that everything is absolutely settled today. Something's going to happen in 6 months, in 12 months. There's always going to be, as politics, things change.
But at some point, don't you think that you should rally?
Rally?
At some point, rally around like a leader at some point?
Well, I think we'll rally around the leader, sure. And and I think the Prime Minister intends to stay on, and if that's the case, which I think will be the case, so we will rally behind him. We'll support him.
When?
Well, we continue to support him now. We continue to support him.
So, like, what are the next steps here? It just sounds like this is a cliffhanger.
I don't know. You have to ask the Prime Minister. I mean, I'm not the one to make the decision.
So is that not frustrating?
Am I the only one left here?
You've heard other people talking about having a vote in caucus, a secret ballot vote, because that would put finality to the thing. Do you believe in that?
Well, that kind of decision's up to the Prime Minister. I mean, it would be a pretty fundamental part of the democratic process if we started to introduce those kind of things into caucus, and it would be and that, like all important decisions, are left to the Prime Minister and the leadership. It's not up to me. It's not. Wouldn't want to speculate on such things.
Comment dire qu'on est 100% derrière notre chef. Puis, bien sûr, dans les caucus, dans les grandes familles, on a des discussions qui c'est sûr, on est derrière les sondages. On a des discussions comme ça. Puis, c'est normal. Mais on ressort de ça, on est 100% derrière notre chef.
Mais 100%, il y en avait 24 qui demandaient sa démission. Ils demandent plus la démission.
C'est vous autres qui dit 24. Moi,
OK, mais il y en avait qui demandaient sa démission. Là, ils ne demandent plus la démission.
Ben, on a eu des conversations honnêtes. Puis tout ce que je veux dire, je ne révélerai pas par respect pour mes collègues. Je ne révélerai pas ce qui a été dit au caucus. Mais je peux vous dire qu'on est tous derrière notre chef. Puis on ne demande pas une revue de leadership.
Est-ce que le dossier est clos, selon vous?
Ben, pour moi, j'espère qu'il est clos parce qu'à un moment donné, il faut avancer. Puis, il faut lâcher de parler de ça. Donc, avançons. Puis, on est tous solidaires derrière notre chef Justin Trudeau. Je suis ici à cause de lui. Puis, on est tous ici à cause de lui, dans mon parti en tout cas. Puis, il faut respecter ça. Puis, on a eu cette conversation-là au sein du caucus. Puis, maintenant, c'est le temps d'avancer.
Do you feel there's any resolution?
Well, I feel good. Of course, I feel good. I mean, every time we have an honest conversation, it's good. But we're 100% behind our, as I said in French, we're 100% behind our leader, and that's Justin Trudeau. And I know that's going to be him leading it in the next election. Of course, I'm not running again, as you guys know, but I know my colleagues, and I'm certainly going to be fighting for him to be the next Prime Minister.
And you're saying the issue is closed, though? You just said in French that you think the issue
should be closed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I don't know about my other colleagues, but it should be closed. We had an honest conversation. Now it's time to move on.
Mais comment vous faites pour les convaincre de move?
Going into that caucus meeting and how they've changed now that it's done?
It's very positive moving forward.
So you felt positive going in, and how did you feel coming out?
As positive coming out. You know, we have a leader in the next election. We have individuals that were able to grieve, say some issues, and they responded to try and say what they heard in the constituents. But bottom line is we're united. We have prime ministers going to the next election. I got my signs ready. We got some policies going, going forward, and it's very positive.
Did you get to speak and bring your...
Yeah, we did. We did.
You did? You got to speak about caucus. How did you feel going into that meeting?
I think it was important to have those conversations, what we have been hearing from the constituents, and I think we did that, and what was discussed should stay in the caucus.
Can you describe the tone of the meeting? How was it?
I think everyone got the opportunity to express themselves.
Is the matter closed?
Yes.
Was it useful?
Yeah.
Just got to ask you, how was caucus? Did it go well? Did you expect everything that you represented was heard?
I mean, that I represented, or the caucus represented?
Did you make a representation in caucus? Or?
There was no, I don't want to go into the dynamic. There was no regional report. What was reported a couple of weeks ago, I represent 23 Atlantic caucus colleagues, so that was my representation on behalf of the caucus. I'm not going to go into the dynamic of what was discussed at the meeting. We have to have safe spaces where we can have those conversations. A couple of things that I would say. Look, at the end of the day, we as a caucus are united on the concern that we have with Mr. Paul-Hus and the type of agenda that he would bring to the Prime Minister's office if re-elected. I represent a lot of people in King's Hands where there's a history of progressive conservatism. You think about guys like Joe Clark, Brian Mulrooney, the Nowlands. They were big parts of the political culture of the Annapolis Valley. And when I have conversations in my riding, there are people that say, look, I might have certain concerns with the Prime Minister, might have concerns with the agenda, but God, I don't like Pierre Paul-Hus. That's not the type of conservatism that I represent. And so I think at the end of the day, as a Liberal member from King's Hands, and someone who has disagreed with the Prime Minister, you know that on national policy, I worked very hard to adjust the carbon price. I have not always agreed with the Prime Minister. If he chooses to stay on, which he has said he will, I'll support him, because at the end of the day, even if there is fatigue on the Prime Minister's leadership, I don't want Pierre Paul-Hus to govern this country. I don't think his agenda would be in the best interest of Canadians. I fundamentally disagree with the way in which he purports himself. Look at the House of Commons. No civility. Very little class in the way that he actually purports himself. You can make points, you can litigate your case against the government without being bombastic. And it's been despicable what I've watched in the way that he actually presents himself in the House of Commons. So I don't want to go into the ditches, so to speak, and be nasty, but I mean he's forcing that type of debate that is simplistic, slogan-driven, and personal attacks. And I think we have to focus on public policy. We have to focus on what the best interests of Canadians are. So we had a good discussion. At the end of the day, different caucus members may tell you different things. I don't know. There's a diversity of opinion out there. But when push comes to shove, if the Prime Minister wants to stay on, and that's his choice, as I've said before, I will support him because I believe that the Liberal Party of Canada is the best vehicle to represent Canadian interests in the days ahead and to be the ones in government. Thank you. C'est possible d'essayer en français.
Est-ce que vous pensez que M. Trudeau a réussi à mettre le couvercle sur la marmite aujourd'hui?
De quoi?
À mettre le couvercle sur la marmite, c'est-à-dire de calmer les choses, de mettre ça derrière lui, de tourner la page.
Écoute, bien sûr, les discussions au caucus, c'est pour caucus. C'est pas pour la disponibilité des discussions ici. À mon avis, et je suis un membre, une parlementaire, qui ont les certains conflits ou les certains désagréments avec le Premier ministre à propos de la tarification de carbone, à propos des autres enjeux. Mais en même temps, quand j'ai considéré l'opposition, le chef de l'opposition, M. Paul-Hus, je suis absolument avec le Premier ministre si le Premier ministre présente à la prochaine. Et toutes les informations, toutes les présentations, tous les sentiments de le Premier ministre à ce moment-là, c'est oui, c'est absolument le fait. Donc, quand j'ai vu le chef de l'opposition, M. Paul-Hus, et j'ai beaucoup d'histoires dans ma circonscription de le progressiste conservateur, Joe Clark, Brian Mulrooney, bien sûr Scott Brayson, premièrement. Et oui, il y a certains concitoyens qui sont fâchés ou contre le Premier ministre ou les certaines initiatives par le gouvernement. Mais en même temps, porte à porte, dans ma circonscription, il y a une certaine peur de M. Poilievre et ses politiques et ses interventions aux chambres de communes. Parce que M. Poilievre ne représente pas un type de conservateur progressiste, pas un type de conservateur modéré. Son agenda, c'est près de l'agenda de la candidate présidentielle républicaine au Sud. Oui, c'est ça. Donc, oui, il y a une certaine fatigue à propos de M. Trudeau. C'est vrai, c'est clair. Mais en même temps, je suis un membre du Parti libéral. Je crois que le meilleur véhicule pour le Canada à la prochaine, c'est le Parti libéral avec Trudeau, ou si M. Trudeau décidera une autre option, bien sûr, une autre option, un autre leader. Donc, je pense que nos discussions au caucus étaient constructives, importantes, mais encore, nous sommes unis avec la nécessité de combattre M. Poilievre et le conservateur. Okay? Merci beaucoup.
Est-ce que je peux prendre 30 secondes pour parler?
It was open? Do you think everybody did? I think everybody did, and that's why it went later than expected, because everybody went up and said how they feel. And I have to say, there is support. There was a lot of support in that room for the Prime Minister. I've been reading the papers and watching reports, and I didn't see a letter and all of these things, and so I didn't frankly know what to expect and how many people would be saying what they said. But I've said time and time again, this is an open tent. And so not everybody's going to agree, and that's the thing that I really like about us.
Right, but I mean, coming out of it today now that the disagreement has been aired, do you think that it's
there was
over?
There was a lot of people. There were a lot of people too that were very much in support and very much saying, "Listen, we've got to focus. We've got to focus. We are a team. We need to move forward, and this is our leader." So I don't want to give the impression that there was just kind of one side. It wasn't that. But what I was very, very happy about was the fact that people got to have their say. Whichever side they were, people got to stand up and say whatever they needed.
Like, if the
it's not over till we won the election. Okay, it's not over till we won the election.
And it was a good meeting. You saw it. You saw it. Focus. Now, we need to be focused. We are united. We're going to be focused, and we're going to win the next election. That's the mantra. That's what you're going to see in the coming days and coming weeks. Really focus on the issue of Canadians. We had a discussion today which you need. I mean, folks at home understand that. They have the same discussion in their families. Sometimes you just need to take a moment, make sure you're everyone. Once you finish, you're united. You focus on what you need to do, and you focus on winning. That's what we're going to be doing.
Is it all over now? Like, have the complaints been
quashed? It was, like I said.
Is it over? Is the dissent done and finished?
I would say that people had a very fair chance to express their views, like you would hope you see in a family. And then once everything is done and said, you move on. You unite, you move on, you focus. And in our case, it's focus on delivering for Canadians, making sure that we are there for them, and at the same time winning the next election.
Has there been issued then an instruction that now that people have aired their complaints, they should not speak about it?
There's no instruction. It's like a family. Once you had the chance to express your view, you move on, because you know that in a family, once you have had the chance to say what you think and what you feel and how you want to go forward, once this is done, you come back and you unite, you focus, and that's what we're going to be doing.
So you think it's over?
Well, I would say people had a very fair chance to do that, and I would expect people now had a chance to make their voice heard. And everyone is united around one thing. The one thing is people want to serve. The comments we heard today came from a good place. People spoke with their hearts. They were, really expressing their feelings. And this is like a moment that you would want to see in a caucus as you see the family. Once you've done that, I think when people left, they said, okay, now we had a chance, and that's what we needed to do. Give a fair chance to everyone to be heard, respectfully. People were listening very intently, and now it's like, okay, now we've done that, we unite, we focus, and we win. Those are the two words. I have to go to the airport because I'm going to Windsor. If you want to follow me, it's Windsor. Next stop.
What's that?
Have we spoken to you yet?
I think you have. Yes, you have. You have.
Okay.
Yes.
What changes after this caucus?
What continues is our fight for Canadians, and we're very united as a team and as a government
to defeat, to keep working, and to make sure that Pierre Poilievre doesn't become the Prime Minister of this country.
Trudeau?
We are united. We are absolutely.
Seriously, what?
Okay, you're stopping.
I will
we have
stop.
Some questions.
Yes.
Here we go. So, what did you make of that meeting today?
Well, I don't talk about what's happening in caucus, but I thought it was a very positive, open meeting where a lot of frank views were exchanged, and it'll give the Prime Minister a lot to reflect upon. And I think it was a very useful meeting.
And what were your feelings going in, and how are they different from your feelings coming out?
My feelings going in were that we needed to have a frank discussion, and I think we had a frank discussion, and I think it was a very useful, productive, frank discussion. And again, I think the Prime Minister will reflect on what was said, and I think that was great.
Do you think the matter do you think the matter is settled now, or do you think there'll be future conversations?
I think there's ongoing conversations, just like there always is. I think right now the Prime Minister is reflecting, and he will reflect upon all of the things that were said today.
But for how long? How long are you expecting the Prime Minister to take to reflect?
That's up to the Prime Minister. I'm not setting
There wasn't a timeline put on it today?
I can't talk about caucus, but I'm not aware of the timeline. The Prime Minister heard very seriously, listened for 2.5 hours, at least, maybe 3 hours to caucus, and that's an important exchange. All right, have a great day. I'm good with that.
Can you tell us what you hope changes?
I'm good. Thanks.
Tell us your thoughts. How did you?
I feel great.
Yeah.
I think it's we're getting back on focusing how we can win the next election and how we can deliver to Canadian. Today was a great day. 0.50% interest rate cut. I think it's amazing for Canadian, and which means the plan is working.
How could you say it's a good day? Like, there was an ultimatum delivered to the Prime Minister. Like that. Like, it's not over. Like,
I don't know.
Is that good?
I don't know which ultimatum you're talking about.
But is there a timeline for the Prime Minister to get back to caucus with the plan forward? Does he have to?
I don't know which one you're talking about. What we talk about, how we can work for Canadian, deliver to Canadian, and how we can beat Pierre Poilievre. That is a plan we're working.
Justin Trudeau's the person to do that?
I 100% believe that, because he has led us through COVID, through the crisis, and he's the man who will lead us in the next election. This is my conviction, and that's what I believe in.
What's your message to maybe some of your other members, the other members of your caucus who don't believe that, who are still fixated on the leadership and whether or not he's the one?
Everyone can have a difference of opinion. I think we all need to hear everyone and respect everyone's opinion. But I think that's what I believe, and that is a proven record. That every time we were in third place in 2015, 2019, 2021, it was fluctuation of polls, and rightly because people are struggling with those crises, that inflation and affordability, and Pierre Poilievre is exploiting those situations and not offering any solutions but empty slogans. So the question we need to ask, how he would have dealt with it, rather than these questions, just I'll do this and that, because Justin Trudeau is the man who's been dealing with it, addressed it, economy is getting back on track, we're in economic growth, and his plan is working, and that's what we need to tell Canadians, not just an empty slogan that he hasn't put his platform, how he would have fixed these issues of affordability. This is a global phenomenon. So I think it's we need to.
Then to sell that message to Canadians?
I'm sorry?
Should you be doing more advertising then to make this?
I think that's where, because the misleading and disinformation from other side has gone over the year tremendously, and I think that we need to do better communication to Canadians. That's what I believe in.
And so do you hope that's the outcome?
That's what I believe in. That's what I believe, and this is my conviction. And I've been in a party for over 25 years, have seen ups and downs. And I think it's being united, sticking together, and sticking to your message and your job. I think that is more important, and that's what I believe in.
And what does better communication look like? Like, is it like ads, more ads?
I don't know. I'm not a communication marketing expert, so it's a variety of things. And honestly, when the situation is tough, when you have a financial burdens, people worry about their affordability, how they bring food on the table. So nothing matters. But once they see relief and things are working, then they start believing it. And I think that's what will matter the most. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Chicane entre nous. Alors, au risque de répéter ce que j'ai dit tantôt, ce qui est important, c'est la loyauté. La loyauté et la loyauté n'est pas forcément dans cet ordre-là.
Et qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec ceux qui n'ont pas envie d'être loyaux? Parce qu'il semble que M. Trudeau a la même conversation avec son caucus depuis 6 mois, tous les 2 mois.
On leur répète la même phrase que je viens de vous dire. La loyauté et la loyauté. Et on doit rassembler tout le monde. Et comme anciens ministres, anciens parlementaires, anciens très proches lieutenants de Jean Chrétien, je vous le dis, c'est ce qui est important et à mon avis, ça va marcher.
Quel changement pourrait faire M. Trudeau pour essayer de calmer la grogne de certains citoyens?
Bien, là, écoutez, je ne suis pas dans la salle du caucus, je ne peux pas voir où s'il y a des failles ou des supposées déficiences, c'est pas à moi de le dire. Mais c'est plutôt, il ne faut pas, pour les parlementaires, à chaque fois qu'il y a quelqu'un qui s'agite, de les écouter automatiquement. Il faut se rappeler de la mission du parlementaire du côté du gouvernement. Et la mission, c'est de gouverner, pas d'autre chose, c'est de gouverner le pays.
Mais les inquiétudes, c'est de perdre le gouvernement. Donc, est-ce que vous pensez que M. Trudeau est capable de garder le gouvernement? Parce que l'objectif, c'est de gouverner.
Oh oui. Vous voulez dire dans une élection l'an prochain ou je ne sais trop quand?
Vous pensez qu'il peut gagner?
Ah, absolument.
Les sondages, faut pas se fier à ça, finalement?
C'est pas qu'il ne faut pas se fier à ça, c'est que j'en ai vu d'autres.
Mais quand il y en a une vingtaine, selon nos calculs, qui disent que M. Trudeau n'est pas le chef pour mener cette campagne-là et que le chef ne part pas, que doivent faire ces 20-là qui n'ont plus confiance au chef?
De devenir loyal. C'est tout. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution.
Ou avoir la force de ses convictions puis siéger comme indépendant, est-ce que c'est une solution?
Ralliez-vous. Ralliez-vous. N'abandonnez pas. Ralliez-vous.
Vous auriez peut-être dû aller au caucus les encourager.
Pardon?
Vous auriez peut-être dû aller au caucus, vous.
Je ne peux pas entrer dans la salle du caucus, je ne suis plus parlementaire.
Vous avez une petite leçon?
Ça fait déjà 18 ans que je ne suis plus parlementaire, mais je l'ai été longtemps et je me souviens de plusieurs choses. Et le principe que j'ai énoncé plus tôt demeure, c'est qu'il faut être loyal, il faut être derrière le chef et se souvenir que ce que les Canadiens s'attendent de tout parlementaire, c'est de gouverner, pas le reste.
Merci, M. Boudria. Qu'est-ce que vous avez à dire sur ce qui se passe au Parti libéral?
J'ai rien à dire sur ce qui se passe au Parti libéral. Ce que je peux dire, c'est que nous, on a déjà voté non-confiance envers ce gouvernement-là, puis ça se continue, peu importe leur décision. Le Parti conservateur, on n'a plus confiance dans ce gouvernement-là. On attend juste la dernière élection.
Si vous voulez avoir un vote de confiance, il va falloir mettre fin à ce qui se passe en Chambre avec la question de privilège. Vous préférez ça?
Ça, il y a une question de privilège parce qu'il y a 400 millions qui ont été donnés à des amis libéraux sur un fonds vert. Ça serait important qu'on en parle aussi. C'est pas pour rien qu'on fait ça.
Donc, il faut mettre fin à ça pour un vote de confiance. Est-ce qu'on se rapproche d'une recommandation royale pour votre projet de loi sur les aînés?
On a été clair, la balle est dans le camp du gouvernement.
Mais vous, c'est votre projet de loi, vous pouvez faire partie des discussions. Est-ce qu'on se rapproche de ça?
La balle est dans leur camp. Ils savent très bien nos intentions.